Hello Unigame fans, this video is brought to you by the survival fort builder Drake Hollow, launching on Steam today following a release on Xbox One last month. This has you constructing and defending a village of vegetable folks known as Drakes, from deadly monsters from the blighted world of the Hollow. I love base building in survival games, even more so when you have NPCs milling about to help you, so this game is perfect for that. Survival elements come in the form of providing food and water to the drakes, and defending your base when the monsters come. The cartoony visuals does remind me of Fortnite Save the World, and this has the usual scavenging and crafting elements that is par for the course. This game is from the developer of the roguelite The Flame and the Flood, so it's a good pedigree, with this being quite an ambitious project overall, with fun to be had. Survival games still remain tremendously popular, since there's just something so core in our being about somehow finding some way to stay alive. So if 2020 has not been enough of a struggle for you, here's my picks of the top 10 best in the genre, with a number of base builders that you might not see coming, beginning with an all-time classic, Ark Survival Evolved. The highlight here has to be the dinos and the prehistoric creatures incorporated with future tech, which is awesome in all aspects, and remains one of the most successful and popular games in this space. Don't Starve Together has been an absolute standout, since the act of adding multiplayer to a single player experience did change it quite significantly. Since its release in 2016, this has been one of the most actively maintained games, with content patches coming out at a very steady clip, with new areas, mechanics, characters and more, all for the low price of free content-wise, though there is DLC for cosmetics. NoClip has another great interview with this developer, so do check that out. You cannot talk about survival games without mentioning another OG title, Rust. Originally released in early access in December 2013 and releasing in 1.0 in 2018. Through that time and even to today, this game has constantly evolved, adding new mechanics and changing some very core ideas, so much so that it is hardly recognizable from when it first launched. You can tech up all the way from bashing trees with rocks to having automatic weapons and more resembling a battle royale game, but such is the beauty of this. I always think of this as being the dong game, and as such is not really to my taste, but you cannot argue with results, though the community perhaps may need some cleaning up. The tropical jungle setting is ripe for survival games, where the forest has you in a very lost kind of situation, where you survive a plane crash but end up on this mysterious island struggling to survive. Central to this is a tribe of mutant cannibals which you need to outwit, where the AI and societal structure of your enemies is impressive for a game like this. It plays more on horror elements, especially at night, and that should be true to most survival experiences if you were stranded in the middle of nowhere with many horrible things in the dark. Still, impressive survival systems and worth a play.
I've learned to hear the difference between something quiet and something abandoned. This goes deeper than just a stillness. It feels like the moments before the world goes to sleep. We're just the last ones left awake to notice it.
Another now iconic game, The Long Dark, is set in the frozen wilderness, where there are no zombies or mythical creatures, but simply the hazards of Mother Nature, including the biting frost and wild animals.
My heart weeps for you, stranger. My days are nearly finished, but you have to live with what remains.
The full release of this added a story campaign which guides you a little, as compared to throwing you into a sandbox for you to figure it out, although that option is also present. The graphics have been nicely polished up through early access, capturing both the majesty and ugliness of Mother Nature in essentially the Great White North, giving me some vibes of the film Into the Wild.
Don't you see the signs? You might dispel the darkness at times, but the light is never coming back.
The first base builder on this list is Oxygen Not Included, once again from Clay Entertainment, who seem to have this survival thing all wrapped up. This has you building a space colony which can get extremely complex factorial style, where the most impressive thing to me is how the physics are modeled, where you will actually run out of oxygen if you don't keep an eye on it. There are other liquid and gas simulations, temperature, stress, and so on to manage, all while trying to build a base and to survive. Wonderful art as well, and a must play if you have not tried it. Are survival horror games survival games? Well, that's the question that Darkwood wants to answer. This has you exploring a procedurally generated world by day, scavenging and trying to figure things out, and has you hurriedly hunkering down somewhere safe at night in lieu of absolute monstrosities out there. You can get skills and perks, meet and talk to eerie characters, and even make world-altering decisions, but truly a masterpiece in the genre, even though it's not exactly my usual cup of tea.
When we end up with next to nothing, we don't do what we believe is right, but we believe what we do will make us right.
No conversations about survival city builders is complete without mention of Frostpunk, where you play as the ruler of what seems to be the last city on Earth, which is besieged by permafrost. The most striking thing here is the layout of the cities, which I'm sure you have seen, since the heat source is at the center and radiates outwards, making for quite the iconic visual. Of course, the further out you are, the colder and more uncomfortable it gets, with some interesting management decisions to make, such as your style of rule, or even the laws that you pass, including things like child labor. It's a brutal world to survive in, so you have to try your hardest, and if you have played it, do check out the DLC, which may be of interest as well. One of my favorite games of 2019, They Are Billions is an interesting intersection of the RTS and survival genres, having you build up a base, defenses and troops while fending off waves of zombies. And when the game says they are billions, the hordes of zombies, while not really getting quite there, does look very impressive with the scale. There's an interesting push and pull of having to expand your base to get more resources while not stretching your supply lines and troops too thin. Similar to The Long Dark, while there is a story campaign to get you familiar, the sandbox or skirmish mode is where it's at, but I'm just super impressed with the art style and the scale of everything. The best survival game so far in my opinion is Subnautica, set largely underwater, where you crash land in the ocean in the opening sequence.
This PDA has rebooted with one directive: to keep you alive.
The unique underwater setting and traversal makes this stand out as compared to land-based games, Thalassophobia be damned, with a huge world to explore with its share of secrets.
Utilizing alien resources is a proven survival strategy. Explore, study, catalog new species, secure food and energy, and gather data on unusual phenomena.
There are gigantic Leviathan-class enemies, a whole underwater base building system, and a story with a precursor race, psychic monsters, and so much more. Excellently done, and if you want more, do check out Subnautica Below Zero, currently in early access, but wholly recommended to play this first, taking the #1 spot. To see more of the big picture, check out these awesome videos, and I will see you after the jump.
We shouldn't have gone so deep.